Have you ever wondered how to make a leather patch hat using your laser and maybe the Cricut hat press? Well, I'm going to show you how in this tutorial. I'm Ashley and this is Chip Build, so let's jump into it. So for this project, we are going to make a leather patch hat. These are super popular right now and I've always wanted to make one. And it is something I am thinking about offering to my business to make custom hats for other businesses. So I really wanted to give it a try and see what the process was going to be like. So we have our piece of genuine leather here. Now I am going to cut this out in the Glowforge. So if you are going to use leather in the Glowforge, you have to make sure it's real leather. And in order to attach our leather to our hat, we're going to use this heat and bond. I've never used this before, so I really don't know how well it's going to work. This is just one of the things I wanted to try. I have seen some people just use spray adhesive or even Gorilla like fabric glue, but I wanted to try this first before I tried some of the other methods there. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to roll this out a little bit. I'm going to place my leather on here, that way I get the correct. That way I'm going to cut out the correct thing. I'm just going to use this little rotary cutter that I got from the Dollar Tree. Now that I've used this, I don't recommend it. It's a piece of trash. All right, so let's flip our leather over. And so we do need to remove this tag. So to iron this on, I am just using my little Cricut mini press and I have it set to the medium setting. And so this says that you only need to do about 2 seconds. So I'm just gonna kind of move it around with not a lot of pressure. I'm gonna hold down in the middle. That way the adhesive doesn't move around as I'm trying to attach it to the back here. I think that's pretty good, and I just want to go around all these edges real quick to make sure I didn't miss any of that. And then we have our adhesive sheets. Now the next thing I want to do is, because I am going to engrave this on the laser, I want to put a piece of masking paper, that way I'm not going to get a bunch of soot everywhere. So I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife, get rid of this excess paper. So one important step, if you're going to use any kind of masking tape on the laser, you have to really burnish it down. Like, you got to make sure that thing is not going to come up at all, because if it comes up, you're going to start a fire in your laser and then you're going to be sad. So you got to really take your time and make sure that that tape is not going to come up. So this looks okay to me. Now we can go and put it in the laser. And so now we can come into the Glowforge interface. And so I'm cutting out this patch for our youth group because I thought it'd be really cool. So I'm going to move this one off to the side because I don't want the circle patch for this hat. I want this die cut one that I made. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to Glowforge. I'm going to just click thick natural leather. So we have the engrave setting, just the standard grave, and it looks like that'll be a speed of 1000 with power 71. And then we have our cut, and the cut settings for that is 168 speed and 100. So I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to zoom in quite a bit, and we're going to go to our 3 dots in the top and set our focus. I'm going to set focus right in the middle of where I've placed that logo. And then the laser is going to do its focusing thing. And once it's done focusing, we will see the kind of screen change a little bit, and that shows us that it has in fact focused. So at this point, if you need to, you can readjust your artwork. I think that's pretty good. And so now that this is all ready to go, I am going to hit ready. It's going to prepare the toolpath for the cut, and then it'll tell us how long it'll actually take. This doesn't seem too bad. It looks like it'll take just about 8 minutes. And so now we can hit the glowing button and start the Glowforge. Keep in mind too, if you are going to cut leather on the laser, it's going to smell pretty bad. Like, it's cowhide. Like, it's going to smell. So just be prepared for that. Alright, so now that the patch is all cut out and I have wiped it down, I have wiped the edges down with a baby wipe, and so now we can pull off the masking. So there still might need to be some additional cleanup. I have not mastered yet the best way to cut leather on the laser yet. And our patch is done. It looks pretty good. Now, I did make 2 different sizes of this patch. This one's 2.5 inches wide and this one's 3 inches wide, just because I wasn't quite sure the size that I liked, but I am liking the 2.5 inch more. So for this, we are going to use our Cricut hat press. Now, if you're doing something like this and you're going to sell them, I think you definitely want to invest in a proper hat press. That way you can get the correct pressure that's going to be needed. So because I am using the Cricut hat press, I am going to put just a tiny bit of fabric glue on a couple of the edges of the patch just to give it the best chance of succeeding. And for this project, we are using this Richardson 112 trucker hat. This is pretty popular. Most of the hats that I see people using are either this brand or the Yupong brand. So I'll put a link to this down in the description below. For the Cricut press, we need to make sure the sweatband is up so that we can get the proper pressure going. And so what I'm going to do too is I'm just going to really like push this down to make sure that this has as much contact with the tailor's hand as possible. So we do have the Cricut hat press set to 2 little lines. So it will be roughly about 320 degrees. And then for timing it, I'm just going to count myself, and I'm going to count it for about 15 to 20 seconds. So now what we need to do is remove the adhesive backing, and you can see that shine there, and that does show from the iron-on adhesive that we have. Now for this, I am literally just squeezing out the tiniest amount, and I'm just putting them right there on this corner. I'm not even really putting any pressure on the bottle at all. So this is just an optional step. You don't actually have to do it. So now it's time to position this. This is the hardest part for me for any project. So I am using the center seam as my guide. I'm just going to press down. What I'm going to do is going to get some tape to help hold it in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this, and I'm going to take this piece of silicone that I have that I use with the Cricut mug press. I'm going to hold it down there, and then I'm going to set the hat press on it. I'm going to hold this, and then I'm going to count for 15 seconds. I'm going to put a lot of pressure. So then I'm going to remove my silicone. See, we got a little bit of an imprint there, so be careful if you do use this because it's going to be super hot. And our hat looks okay, but we're going to put a little bit more pressure on there. All right, so now that the press is done, we have a pretty cool looking leather patch hat. Well guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know down below if this tutorial helps you at all, or if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Final thoughts, do I recommend the Cricut hat press for some leather patch hats? Honestly, no. I think it's not enough pressure. I think you need like a proper hat press if you are going to sell these. Now, if you're going to give these just to like some family members or just for you to wear around in videos or around town, more than fine. As always, I'll put everything that I use in this video down in the link below. And thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Catch you on the next one. Bye.